your back. Now you may be thinking, has Corey gone crazy? Why is she talking about her back when doing push-ups? But I haven't gone crazy, at least not when it comes to this. When we think about push-ups, we think about working our chest, shoulders, and triceps. And then when we want to improve our push-ups, we think about strengthening those muscles. But improving our push-ups isn't just about muscle weakness and strengthening the areas that are being worked directly. It's about that full mind-body connection. It's about everything in our body working together correctly. We need the right muscles working at the right times to the right extents, and everything really working together if we want to improve our push-ups. It's why when we want to improve our push-ups and we turn to strength work and we do all these different things for our chest, shoulders, and triceps, we might not actually see the results we want. We want to think about this as improving our mind-body connection as well. It's like an orchestra. One instrument can't be playing too fast or too loud, or the music doesn't turn out fabulous. Everything has to be working in harmony. And the same thing goes when we're talking about bodyweight movements. We need everything to engage and work correctly so that you move efficiently, because efficiency of movement is why we get stronger with exercises. That's why I mentioned the importance of your back when it comes to improving your push-ups. I know we think, hey, I have a killer bench press, I should be able to do all these push-ups all day long, but that's just not the case. It is that full body coordination. I actually realized the secret years ago when I filmed myself doing push-ups. I would brag about how many push-ups I could do. I could do 20 push-ups from my toes. And then I saw a video of myself doing them. Holy moly. They were fugly. And when I say fugly, I mean they were ugly. When I took that video and I looked at it, I realized I had to take my ego out of it and I needed to regress the movement. I was surprised by when I regressed the movement off an incline, how much harder the exercise actually got. And I started to realize how I was overusing areas. It's why I had neck pain and shoulder pain. I didn't realize that things were adding up because of the overload from this movement. I just thought, well, hey, I can do it from my toes. But the reality is that I was compensating in order to try and mimic the proper looking movement pattern. And that's what was leading to overload, but also inefficiency of the movement and a lack of actually being able to do a picture perfect push-up. So I started to regress the movement. It hurt my ego that doing this regressed movement, this modified movement, this easier movement was way harder than doing it off the ground. And through modifying this exercise, I began to realize how many other muscles were actually involved. The push-up is basically a moving plank. And as I did the push-up off the incline, I realized how essential my back actually was to the exercise. I realized that scapular control, or the movement on my shoulder blades, actually powered my press. So while I'd been spending so much time on trying to strengthen my chest, shoulders, and triceps, and I was ignoring my upper back, this was actually a key weakness that I had to address. So think about that perfect push-up from the ground. When you set up for the push-up, you actually want to engage your upper back to support your shoulders. You're unshrugging, sort of like that turtle popping its head out of the shell. From this position, you want to keep the back engaged because that's what actually opens up your chest to properly engage those pecs during the press back up. As you lower down in the push-up, think about actually bringing your shoulder blades towards your spine. That movement engages your upper back to support and stabilize your shoulders, so you don't overuse your rotator cuff. The engagement of your back is key to allowing you to actually engage your chest correctly to power that press back up, because you want to be able to utilize that big muscle group instead of overusing just your triceps and shoulders. When you press back up, you want to think about keeping your back engaged and actually your shoulder blades moving away from your spine. But this scapular control is so key and so often ignored. Our back is essential to a powerful press, whether it's a bench press or whether it's the push-ups. So if you want to improve your push-ups, you need to engage your back. I want to share with you 2 moves to help you do just this. These are perfect moves to include in your activation work in your warm-up routine. It's key with both of these movements that you focus on the mind-body connection. You're not just trying to make them harder by trying to do a harder variation. You're actually thinking about your mind engaging the muscles so that you can recruit them efficiently. Because it's about the scapular control and not even having to think about it during your push-ups that really pays off. So the first move is the scapular wall hold. This move looks very simple, but it's actually a very challenging move to do. You really want to focus on engaging your upper back to almost stretch out your chest as you hold against the wall. There's no movement. You're not trying to walk out further from the wall. You're just thinking about drawing your shoulder blades down and back and together. You want to think about engaging your back to almost stretch your chest. This is the position you want at the bottom of the push-up to be able to press back up efficiently and really use those pecs. So think about engaging your upper back as you're leaning back into your elbows on the wall. You want to think about keeping a nice straight line from your head to your heels, because this is the same position you need during the push-up. Engage your abs, squeeze your glutes, and focus on that upper back. Don't let your shoulders shrug. That upper back engagement really is so key, and you're stretching out your pecs as you're holding this position. The second move I like to include as activation to work on that scapular control or that shoulder blade movement is the scapular push-up to Dolphin. This is a great move to not only work on your scapular retraction or the ability to draw your shoulder blades towards your spine as you lower down in that push-up, but also a great way to work on your shoulder and spinal mobility. The benefit of this move is you're also in that plank position, so you're working on that core control, because the push-up really is basically a moving plank. When you set up from your forearms in the plank position, think about unshrugging your shoulders, getting that initial engagement of your upper back. Then what you're gonna do is hold that plank position and pinch your shoulder blades towards your spine. You're gonna be tempted to let your hips drop so that you can make the range of motion feel bigger, but you wanna make sure that you're maintaining that plank position, because this is the perfect way to train that plank position as you actually lower down in the push-up and you have your shoulder blades come together. So you wanna retract your shoulder blades and then actually press the ground away to separate your shoulder blades to push back up into that full plank. From that plank position, you're gonna push your butt up towards the ceiling, extending your spine. This is a great way to also work on not only your spinal mobility, but your shoulder mobility. When you move back forward into the plank, the great part about this is you're gonna have to learn to re-engage your upper back to stabilize your shoulders and make sure you aren't shrugged before you perform the scapular retraction. When you're in this plank position, really use this as a time to train that proper plank position. Drive back through your heels to engage even your quads. We really wanna focus on everything working efficiently together to be really coordinated, because that's what leads to better strength in a perfect push-up. Just make sure when you do this exercise, you're not trying to make the movement bigger. You're really focused on engaging your upper back because you want to learn to control that scapular movement. This exercise, while really small in terms of the actual movement, is more challenging than we realize. To modify, you can do the forearm plank off a bench and then learn how to really engage that upper back. If you find you're still struggling because there are more moving components and it's a smaller movement that really requires that mind-body connection, you can even start off a wall. I do like adding in the single arm scapular push-up at times, even if I use the scapular push-up to Dolphin, because it's a great way to isolate each side. We might have had previous shoulder injuries or imbalances, and we want to address those to make sure that we're really strong during that full push-up. So doing the single arm scapular push-up off the wall while it takes out the plank can be a great way to make sure that we're really working on that scapular retraction without shrugging our shoulder. We want to make sure that we're not overusing muscles. Like if we're shrugged, we're going to overuse the muscles of our shoulder, because that's going to lead to improper recruitment patterns during our push-ups. Now, in terms of how you use these moves, I mentioned using them as part of your activation, your warm-up routine. You can do this before your push-up work, or even before any pressing or upper body workouts. They're a great way to make sure that you're actually engaging your upper back to stabilize your shoulders. And they're a great way to also reverse a lot of the pressing that we're doing. When you're working to improve your push-ups, you're doing a ton of anterior chain work, so we want to make sure we're also working our posterior chain to balance it out and improve our posture. So think about including these for 1 to 2 rounds of 10 to 15 reps each in your activation series as part of your warm-up. And if you're looking for even more form cues to improve your push-ups and learn how to use that incline to modify and regress to progress, check out the link in the video description. If you like the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.